Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from the Frontier. Thank you for stopping by. I'm grateful. I trust you all had a great weekend. I spent mine in Kigali. I'll put up a photograph I took of the sunset on July the 10th as I landed. And I was there with the Kenya-Rwanda Business Forum, and I wrote a piece about it over the weekend, so let me read that to you. I returned to Kigali over the weekend for the third time since 2011, and the first thing I noted is that the velocity of change is speeding up. My flight had a stopover at Bujumbura airport, which is retro, and one of the buildings was a wonderful pink, as you can see from the photograph. The contrast between the old world Bujumbura airport and the 21st century Kigali airport was really stark. So many parts of Africa are bursting at the seams in a higgledy-piggledy expansion, and Kigali, with its clean streets and structure, is such a contrast that it makes you suck in your breath. Kigali produces such a positive feeling. It is easy to forget where Rwanda came from in 1994. Edwin Lefebvre said that the tape is your telescope, and if we look at the Rwanda tape, you will note an extraordinary narrative has unfolded. The narrative is of a country that has empowered its women, has reduced the percentage of people living below the poverty line from 59% to 45% between 2001 and 2011. Life expectancy, literacy, primary school enrollment, and spending on healthcare have all gained. A.T. Carney named Rwanda the most attractive African market for retailers in its first ever African Retail Development Index. Foreign Policy magazine ranks Rwanda 8th best in the world for investors. On July the 5th, the World Bank tweeted that Rwanda was the top performer in a measure of shared prosperity in sub-Saharan Africa. Essentially, that means trickle down. A common refrain we hear is that you cannot eat GDP. Well, what the World Bank is saying is that Rwanda is spreading the prosperity the most in all of Africa. Now, this parabolic rally off a low base would not have happened without first-class leadership. President Kagame's Rwanda can be compared to Sheikh Mohammed's Dubai, except Dubai did not go through a genocide. In 1994, Dubai had one main road and just one high-rise building. Outstanding leadership is not concerned about the starting point because it knows where it is going. I was visiting Kigali this time with the Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which has some 21st century leadership of its own under Chairman Kiprono Kitoni. We were participating in the first Kenya-Rwanda Business Forum held under the theme Expanding Business Opportunities Beyond Borders. The forum was held in collaboration with the Private Sector Federation of Rwanda and with the full support of the Rwanda government, with President Kagame as the chief guest. President Kagame said many things. East Africa is more visible and relevant to the global economy than ever before. East Africa is rightly seen as a new frontier. We must be ready to seize the new opportunities that are coming our way, he said. Every global company started off as a local one without exception. The business people in this room have a natural advantage, and you have the right risk perceptions. There is no excuse. It was a real call to action. In the drive to integrate our region and create wealth, businesses can make another kind of smart investment, that is supporting African initiatives, working to instill in young people a more Pan-African perspective, an attitude of closer collaboration within the continent, and pride in African heritage. Kenya is the third largest investor in Rwanda after Mauritius and South Africa. KCB, Equity, I&M, Financial Services, Serena, where I was staying, Nakumat, Fusion Capital are also there. Kagame challenged the forum to create a critical mass of believers. And let me leave you with one final thought. I do not think anyone would have proposed to Sheikh Mohammed and over, after a hypothetical 2 terms, "Come on, look at his performance," the crowd would have shouted. And I think that's the point of President Kagame in point of fact. I'll put up a link for the Flickr. They're really very 21st century, and they put a lot of good photographs up on Flickr. Put up a link for that from the function. Macro thoughts, either way, yes or no, in my view, the European project is unraveling. And I wrote that, I think, on the 6th of July. Global research, which tends to be conspiratorial, is asking, did the US try to crash China's market because BRICS launched the new development bank? And we live in a world where financial warfare is very real. Home thoughts. If you cry because the sun has gone out of your life, your tears will prevent you from seeing the stars. Political reflections. Eurozone leaders reach a unanimous agreement on Greece, says EU's Tusk. Daily Star News tweeted, Eurozone leaders in Brussels agreed in a bid to new terms of bailout for Greece, and put up this photograph, which I liked. And I'll just repeat what I said. Either way, yes or no, the European project is unraveling, in my view. The hashtag "This is a coup" soared to the most trending in Europe, in Greece, but also in Germany, where Der Spiegel described Berlin's demands of Athens as a catalogue of horrors. And it was the second highest trending worldwide. John Kerry, sorry, just going back to Europe, Greece have got a deal. I mean, they've got some new fresh cash, but it's a heck of a tough deal. They've ceded all control, I think, essentially. Greece can bend up to a point, said Hatsis, a prominent political commentator, but after that there is no bending, only breaking. John Kerry, this is Sunday, leaving his hotel in the morning and twice declaring himself hopeful of a deal with Iran. And I think that's why the oil market has reacted sharply lower. Vladimir Putin tweeted the BRICS summit. I'll put up that photograph. And another one, meeting of BRICS leaders with heads of guest countries. And I'll put that up as well. I couldn't resist this headline. People are saying that El Chapo escaped from prison to go after Donald Trump. Joaquin El Chapo Guzman Loera is now the world's most wanted criminal. After breaking free from a maximum security prison by way of tunnels through his shower, the internet has been cracking jokes and theories saying he may be after Mr. Trump. The Republican has been under fire for his disparaging comments against Mexican immigrants, calling them drug dealers, rapists, and saying that they wreak havoc on the US population. Mexico is currently undergoing a violent drug war, as we all know. But the point I'm making is really about that escape, second escape he's made. Put up a photograph of a wanted poster for him that CNN found a copy of. Zero hedge, why NATO fears Grexit. And I've spoken about this before. I said if Greece exits the euro, it might well prove a Trojan horse with regard to Russia. I said China might care to lean in as well. Holger, Greece's 2-year yields dropped to 25.1% after Greek deal reached. Currency markets, the euro was all over the place. We're now at 110.75. Dollar index, similarly all over the shop around the 96 level. Japanese yen, 123.47. Swissy, 0.9425. The pound is at 155.24. Aussie, 0.7424. Indian rupee, which has really been very steady in all this, 63.415. South Korean won, 1129.70. Real, 315.77. Looking for 4. Egyptian pound, 783.60, and the rand, 1244.89. I'll get to the rand in a minute. Dollar index, let me put up a 1-year chart. We've been doing a lot of work around these sorts of levels, but eventually we're going to push on and push through 100. Euro dollar, I'll put up a 1-month chart so you can see how much it faded the rally, and I think you continue to fade the rally because I think whatever happens, the euro is going lower. Holger, again, euro jumps amid reports of deal at Greek summit, but you'll see that that was an initial spike which then totally petered out. Commodity markets, gold 1154.58 last. I still think there's a real chance of a triple-digit print this year. Crude oil We're on the downside here. I think we could fall through 50. In fact, I think we're headed to 44 on WTI because a deluge is about to come from Iran, surely. Sub-Saharan Africa, US considering drones in North Africa to monitor Islamic State, but we weren't told which countries. President Kikwete with Tanzania's next big man, John Pombe Joseph Magufuli, outside the Dodoma Convention Center. I commiserate with our friend who was in the last five and did not make the cut, but prosecuted a fantastic campaign, and I think sets him up for the future. That's January Makamba, of course. John Magufuli is 56, a former math and chemistry teacher, nominated on July the 12th by Tanzania's ruling party, CCM, aims to succeed President Kikwete. He will succeed because they are the ruling party. You get that nomination, you go through, essentially. That's the way it works there. And that will be October general election. And also he made history by selecting a woman, Samia Hassan Suluhu, who hails from Zanzibar as his running mate. Moving on to Burundi, the presidential election has been postponed to July 21 from July 15, a presidential spokesman said on Saturday. And that place remains highly problematic, I'm afraid. I'll put up a photograph of President Nkurunziza, and as I landed in Burundi at this very retro airport, I sort of peered out, but it's quite very green and it's on a lake. Interesting video from Vice inside a Bujumbura opposition stronghold, Burundi on the brink. This is the Buterere neighborhood of Bujumbura. Very 6-minute video. Do have a look if you get a chance. And Buterere, I found a tweet of a picture from a street there of the police and the population. Kudu Padraig has tweeted an updated Burundi data. And this shows you the kind of unrest and the level of unrest that we've been seeing there. Dollar Rand is now at 12.44.89, I think, but it's a double whammy. China and Europe weighing on the Rand. South African all-share popped higher, Friday up 0.68%, bounced nicely, dipped below 50,000, we're back above 51,000, near 52. And sorry, I didn't show you that one last thing, the picture of Bujumbura Airport. I'll put that up as well. Dollar Rand, as I said, going back to that, have a look at the chart. I think we're going up to 13, then 14. Egyptian EGX 30 is down 13.83% and at 18-month lows. Nigeria all-share down 8.44% and at 14-week lows. Ghana Stock Exchange Composite Index is up 3.43%. Currency rallied big last week. We should see that start to improve now. Barry Malone tweeted this: nice to see pic I took in Ethiopia, and it's a beautiful one. Used in peace on what a great destination it is. I gave a quote which actually Bob Godek gave, so I've got to give credit to Bob Godek, who described Obama's visit to Kenya like John F. K's visit going to Ireland, and I use that quote in The Guardian. Telecoms in Kenya, new East Africa campaign. This is The Economist. Few firms have done more in recent years to boost Africa's fortunes than Safaricom. It has built the world's most widely used mobile money network called M-Pesa, bringing financial services to the poorest. Almost everyone in Kenya can send funds to almost everyone else instantaneously from a mobile phone, not just smartphones. The value of transactions flowing through the system is equivalent to 40% of GDP. It's now being copied, as we know, in many other countries. Even the greatest gift can outlive its usefulness. M-Pesa's success is in part due to what economists call a network effect. Its utility grows the greater the proportion of the population that uses it. Network effects tend to lead to monopolies, and that is more or less what has happened. M-Pesa accounts for more than 95% of the mobile money market in Kenya. And the popularity of the payment system has also helped Safaricom maintain its dominance in terms of calls and text messages. Safaricom's near monopoly has arguably been the key to developing a successful mobile money system. Since Kenya does not have genuine interoperability in which funds can be sent from one system to another without punitive charges, it would be inconvenient if consumers were divided between several operators and if customers of one could not send money to those on another. In the decade and a half since Vodafone in Britain acquired a 40% stake in management responsibilities, Safaricom has made the most but not outright abused its power. Its fees for money transfers are high, up to 10% of the face value. The company has penalized users calling other networks. At the same time, though, it has invested heavily in infrastructure. Its network reaches villages far from paved roads, and in recent months it started introducing 4G services, which provide faster data transfer speeds than the old 3G standard. There are parallels with the monopoly in landlines that AT&T created in America a century ago, which helped make the telephone universal. However, just as consumers, regulators eventually came to realize the downside of AT&T's monopoly in Kenya, calls have grown for official intervention to improve competition. Airtel, one of Safaricom's anemic rivals, is demanding allocation of 4G radio spectrum. It would also benefit if regulators insisted on cheaper and easier interoperability, bringing its Airtel money system into the M-Pesa orbit, essentially hijacking Safaricom's infrastructure and investment. Its parent, Bharti Airtel of India, is the world's third biggest mobile telecoms company, with subsidiaries in 17 African countries. It would like a slice of Safaricom's juicy margins, which exceed even the handsome returns earned by Bharti and Vodafone. Analysts have talked of Safaricom being too big to fail. Its boss, Bob Collymore, sidesteps such talk, but says that if its system went down, it would make him highly unpopular. Local newspapers have reported that a cabinet minister is pressing for action to improve competition. However, two regulators have been squabbling over who is in charge. Making the matter more complicated, the government is a big shareholder in Safaricom. Company also happens to be the country's biggest taxpayer. Last year, it fed the government $400 million in fees, taxes and dividends. Consequently, few officials are keen to take on Mr. Collymore. That task has fallen to one of the country's banks instead, Equity Bank, which revolutionized local finance in the past decade by slashing fees and helping to bring the poor into the banking sector. The number of accounts rose from around 2.5 million in 2005 to more than 20 million in 2013. Now Equity has acquired a license to operate a mobile phone service in conjunction with Airtel. I think it's going to be much more successful in other countries where Equity is operating. Equitel will launch a service that uses thin SIMs, plastic sheets embedded with microchips that slip over the top of a standard SIM card and let the user switch between operators easily. This makes it more likely they will try and perhaps eventually migrate to Safaricom's new rival. Equitel is aiming for 5 million users by the end of the year, compared with Safaricom's 23 million. Safaricom is not only its first target. It plans to break into other markets. Equitel's biggest selling point is a promise to charge a fraction of Safaricom's fees for money transfers. It is in a strong position since Equity already banks 10 million Kenyans and has branch networks in several countries. I think it's a silly idea, penalizing success and tilting pitches. Safaricom's up 13.879% year to date, considerably outperforming the Nairobi All Share, which is down over 2% over the same period. If you haven't seen the interview I did with Bob after the full year results, please take a look, because we covered a lot of this. And I'll put up a photograph of him I took a couple of years ago. Kenya shilling has popped its head over 102. Last time I looked, got as high as 102.75. Target now is 107, which is the low from 2007. Nairobi All Shares down 2.11% year to date at December 2014 lows. NSE 20 is down 7.53% year to date and at 27-month lows. Barack Obama's half-brother misses homebrew days ahead of Kenya visit. This is an article on Bloomberg. Malik Abongo Obama yearns for the days when he and his half-brother were closer. 2 decades before Barack Obama became US President, Malik fulfilled a pledge to their father to bring his sibling home to their village in western Kenya. Barack visited the house of Barack Hussein Obama for the first time and met other relatives, including his step-grandmother Sarah Obama. During the 1988 trip, Malik says he would take his down-to-earth, then teetotaler half-brother into the bush in search of changa, the illicit alcohol that translates as "kill me quick." The two would also play games, such as one in which Barack would try and step on the older Malik's toes. He's not been contacted, so he's a little bit upset. The Johannesburg-based GCR affirmed national scale ratings assigned to KCB of AA and A1+ in the long and short term. This is currently the highest rating for a Kenyan bank accorded by GCR, and deservedly so. Once again, thank you for stopping by. The market's actually trading better today after a torrid bear run. If you care to register on the site rich.co.ke, it's free, get a password, then you can go to Rich Live and track the market in real time. Once again, thank you.